Howdy folks, I'm satisfying spring break, sensationally sneaking away from scholarly school.
I'm Amber.
And here's more scholarly school for us to sneak away from and go on break. So let's get started on that. But we couldn't escape the Reddit. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Leaving My Best Friend's Birthday Party Early Because I Was a B-List Guest? Throwaway for privacy. Though this is a pretty specific incident, and anyone who knows the situation will probably be able to identify me anyways. I'm a 29-year-old female and have been good friends with Sally, a 30-year-old female, since we were 8 years old. We were inseparable throughout school, but we went to different colleges. I visited her a few times each year and she would visit me, and we'd always meet up at Christmas and summer breaks. After we graduated, I moved about 3-hour drive away from where she moved to, and we still caught up often. As it normally happens, we established our new professions and our new social lives and drifted apart. But whenever we caught up, it was like no time had passed. We were there for each other whenever we needed it. When she got married at 25, I was a bridesmaid. I declined maid of honor because I was concerned with the long commute and I couldn't do all the maid of honor duties required and expected. She drove to my place to support me when my father had a stroke. I stayed with her when she found out that her ex-husband cheated on her and she filed for divorce. I always figured that even though life is taking us in different directions, we were always there for each other. Now on to her birthday. She turned 30 last week and had a huge party this past weekend. Since it was a milestone birthday, she had a banquet hall, all catered, DJ, etc. It was at night, so I booked a hotel, I drove up, and would drive back home the next day. When I arrived, I was ushered into a small room with 4 tables and about 10 other people. There was a portable TV on a trolley with a stream of the party in a bigger room. One of the guests told me that Sally invited more than the main hall could accommodate, and she had hoped a few people would RSVP no, and we would all fit in. But only 1 or 2 people RSVP'd no, so the venue opened a second room for the excess guests. Well, I saw in the stream new people arriving after I did, so I knew that I was clearly relegated to the B-lister room and wasn't brought there because the main room was already filled up. So I left after 15 minutes and took my gift with me. The next day, as I was preparing to check out of the hotel, Sally called and asked why I didn't show up. Apparently, she came to the leftovers room to mingle about 30 minutes after I had left and noticed that I wasn't there. I told her that I did attend, but I didn't realize that I would be watching a stream of her party instead of attending it, which I could have done at home. She asked if I wanted to catch up for lunch, and I can give her my gift then, but I told her that I needed to get back home because I had plans for the afternoon. Cue the Instagram story about how people who claim to love her don't show up and can't help that so many people wanted to celebrate her. During my drive home, her mother left a voicemail that she was very disappointed in me. But I'm here like I'm supposed to be one of your best friends, and I got your leftover experience. Did I overreact? Am I the jerk here? All right, folks, what do you think?
Absolutely not the jerk. What the friend did is very, very horrible to do to someone. I mean, if you invite too many people, that's bad in its own right. But having some people specifically chosen as the B list instead of just whoever arrives late is in the other room, that is like such a horrible thing to do to someone that you claim is one of your best friends. And then like sicking her mom and OP, like I don't know how close you are with the mom. I think OP says like she's like a second mom. If you really do have a close relationship, make sure the mom actually has the full version of the story where her daughter made you a B-list guest, had you put into the B-list room where you were supposed to watch her. You had traveled all this way for her to watch her on a screen. Like, unless you're like the Queen of England, there aren't going to be that many people who are invested enough in your party that they want to watch it on a screen.
Yeah, I would say that I don't know how she managed to keep 10 people in that room.
Yeah, well, probably the social awkwardness of not wanting to leave, but yeah, it was not a cool move, and it's a very hurtful thing to do.
I mean, the moment I would say that I was in the B-list room, I would probably be like, oh, Well, I'm grabbing a few snacks and leaving. Bye.
Grab as much cheese as you can. Make
Like,
it worthwhile.
we're gonna make this drive at least worthwhile. But I'm going, and I don't like how she also was. Her first question to OP was like, "Let's catch up, and you can give me the gift."
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I've forgotten it, but yeah, it just shows how it seems like she just wanted all the gifts she could get and didn't even care about people's experience as long as she's getting oodles of presents.
She really needed to book a venue that could accommodate everyone equally and not have this weird tier list where there was an overflow room with people who could celebrate with themselves. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing is like, are these even people who know each other? Like, it doesn't sound like it. So,
Yeah.
like, you're sticking random people in a room together.
Yeah. It sounds like a wonderful time, especially for like an introvert who
Yeah.
might not want to hang around with people.
Yeah, that'd be like my nightmare.
I don't know. I think that OP is well within the right here. I do agree with you. Talk to the mom, tell the mom about the situation, and explain it that way. And I think hopefully this friend kind of gets over herself because she seems like she's overly important to herself at this point in time. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't even sound like a friend anymore. It might be time to cut your losses.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not wanting to bring my blanket to hang out anymore? I have this big soft blanket that I usually keep on my couch, and for a while I started bringing it to group hangouts because people always ended up cold once the AC was on too hard or somebody insisted on sitting near an open window like a maniac. At first, it was fine. I brought it once for a movie night and people used it, no big deal. Then it quietly became a thing. Like, if we were meeting at someone's place and I walked in without it, somebody would immediately go, "Wait, where's the blanket?" in a joking tone that is half a joke and half actual expectation. I probably should have just shut that down earlier, but I did not. I just kept bringing it because it was easier than being the weird guy guarding a blanket. The problem is that people do not like to treat it like it belongs to an actual person. They drag it into other rooms, they leave it in weird piles on the floor, ball it up and sit on it, spill crumbs all over it, and the last time somebody wrapped up in it and then just left it near the balcony door where it picked up that gross, dusty outside smell. When I grabbed it to take it home, there was popcorn crushed into one corner and something sticky on the edge. Everyone acted like I was being a little precious for even noticing. The thing that really pushed me over was last weekend. I found my blanket on the floor again, half under somebody's shoes, half under the leg of a chair. And when I picked it up, one person just laughed and said, "Relax, it's doing its job." That irritated me way more than it should have. It's not some communal blanket that lives in the void. It's mine, I wash it, I carry it back and forth, and somehow I'm the only one expected to care if it gets gross. So now I kind of want to stop bringing it entirely. I know this sounds stupidly small, but I already know the reaction is going to be that I'm being dramatic over just a blanket and ruining the cozy vibe over nothing. One friend already said that if I bring something to a group setting, I cannot get fussy about how people use it. Another said that it's nonsense and people should know not to throw somebody else's stuff on the floor like feral toddlers. I keep going back and forth because, yeah, maybe I did accidentally turn it into a house blanket by bringing it so many times. But also, I'm getting a little tired of pretending it's cute when people treat my stuff like background furniture. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. And don't bring your blankie over there anymore. Your blankie deserves better. Now, if you are like serving people on grandma's china, would that give them excuse to just leave dishes wherever they wanted because you are using it in a communal purpose? Would you be obligated to bring grandma's china to every event because, well, you've used it here once and so now this is our china and we can do whatever we want with it? Like, if you think of it in terms of a bigger ticket item, I think it's very easy to see that what they're doing is wrong. You don't get to mistreat someone else's belongings, and the fact that it's potentially a lower dollar value item does not make it any more or okay to you just destroy it.
I would personally play frisbee with grandma's china. I think that OP, if they really want to, can get like a communal blanket for whatever parties and then just like leave it in their car and bring it and not clean it or anything like that, and just let it get grosser and grosser and grosser until finally they realize, hey, why is this blanket gross all the time?
I mean, I was thinking of that, but then that still leaves OP the one who's toting this gross blanket around everywhere. So, like, maybe just leave it at the host's house and let them shuffle it between them.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a good solution. And just make sure to be like, don't forget to bring the blanket.
Yeah.
Why didn't you bring the blanket? I left it at your place so that you could bring it to the next party.
This is the communal blanket now. I'm done toting it around when it's time for one of you to take it.
Yeah. So I think that OP isn't wrong for getting annoyed by this because it's something that they have to clean and take care of, and I can imagine that gets pretty annoying and frustrating.
Well, and they're grown adults. Like, if they were 3-year-olds, I would understand why they have a hard time, but that still wouldn't mean they get to use the blanket. Like, when kids misuse their toys, we take them away until you can learn how to use them nicely. It's the same deal here. Like, if these people cannot figure out how to use a blanket without dragging it through the mud and throwing food all over it, they don't need one.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Friend's Bride That He Recycled My Vows? I was the best man at my fiance's wedding last weekend. We go way back. We've been buddies since high school and did all the stupid stuff together before adulthood hit. His wife seemed like a lovely person as well, but we didn't know each other until much later on. So it really comes down to him and me. About a month before the wedding, we were at his bachelor party, buzzed off some beers, scarfing down wings, and singing awful karaoke. And somehow he manages to ask me if I still had my wedding vows saved somewhere. I said, yeah, I probably do, and then asked why. He said he knows what he feels for his fiancée, but has trouble putting it into words. So he wanted a little inspiration from mine because he remembered mine being good. And okay, I understood, and I could appreciate that. Weddings are stressful, plus it was less than 4 weeks out at that point. So it was just last minute, and he was probably panicking. I pulled up my notes app, I scrolled down, and I found my vows to my wife. And I handed him my phone for him to look at them. And I assumed that he would use general concepts, which would be fine, and that was that. Well, fast forward to the wedding, before the ceremony. I checked in with him and asked if everything was all right, especially with the vows. He said, yeah, man, don't worry about it. It turns out that he actually had a lot to worry about. So then the big moment comes and he's standing there and everyone watching. And he starts reciting his vows. At first, I recognized that maybe some of the phrasing was similar and shrugged it off. But then whole lines, word for word, pretty much verbatim phrasing from my vows years ago. More and more they kept going. There was a pit in my stomach and I couldn't just ignore it. I didn't say anything aloud at the moment, as I would never interrupt mid-vow. Afterwards, I pulled his wife aside quietly, fully prepared for however awkward it may be, and I told the truth to her that he literally used exact lines of my vows. I have no idea if he took a picture of them on his phone or what. She froze up, and I could see the hurt sink in on the poor girl's face. She's not leaving him or anything, but she is very, very mad, to put it lightly. He claims he didn't realize that he had copied them, and it must have been subconscious, like reading them made them stick in his mind, and somehow that reflected in his vows. And then he goes, I owed him loyalty first, not her, and I shouldn't have said anything, especially on that night. I found it a bit hypocritical to mention loyalty as someone who stood there marrying someone else, leading them to think those words were all original and from his heart. All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. While the timing wasn't great, if it was a situation where she wanted to not marry him over this, you got to talk to her before the officiant has time to file the marriage certificate. A lot of people fill out their marriage licenses day of, and the officiant's not going to be able to do it until the next business day.
Yeah.
So while it was bad timing, I think it was the right timing. I mean, this was just such a not cool thing to do. Traditional vows exist for a reason. Like, if he really didn't want to put the time and energy into writing his own vows, or was just tongue-tied or whatever, he could have just gone with the traditional vows. Instead, he stole OP's vows verbatim and passed them off as though this was his own work. He plagiarized.
Yeah. I think that this one might have a lot of conflicting opinions on it, just because I was reading the comments and it was actually split pretty well. There are some people who were like, oh, I would totally want to know in the moment.
Yep, that's me.
And there are other people who are like, it's not that big of a deal. I think that he really needed to talk to OP if he wanted to use the vows verbatim, right? And I'm not sure that I buy the whole, well, they must have just stuck in my head, right? Because I've literally read over a sentence and then not been able to repeat it verbatim,
Mm-hmm.
or.
Right, like if it was like one turn of phrase or something,
Mhm.
but like entire sections of the vows are literally the same.
Yeah. And like there are all kinds of examples of vows on the
Mm-hmm.
internet, and he could have used any number of different vows. Plus, like, what was his wife, probably OP's wife, thinking if she was in the wedding or at the wedding and heard the vows literally being used there, right? Like, I can only imagine how awkward that might have been for that situation, right?
Well, and think about the bride too, because like I wrote my own vows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I had taken all this time and energy pouring my heart into these vows, and then I found out that like you just stole someone's vows, I would have been a little hurt.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, like, he had options, he had choices, and the choice that he made was that he would copy OP's vows, and that was a poor decision. He should have come up with something on his own if he really wanted to have people think that these were his words, right?
And I mean, I think words don't have to be perfect if they're yours. You know, I mean, different people have different opinions, but I would much rather hear something heartfelt that comes from, you know, the person saying it than have it be like the perfect poetic vows that someone else wrote.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
How do librarians catch fish?
Well, I mean, everyone knows how librarians catch fish. This isn't even a riddle in the slightest. Librarians catch fish using bookworms.
Yeah, using bookworms, you're right.
Plenty of them. Plenty of them. And I have Mega Mint. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday, folks. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on being an overflow guest in a party.
If you don't have enough space to accommodate all your guests as first string guests, do not invite that many people to the party
Yeah.
or get a bigger venue.
Yeah. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.